Hello there fellow oil enthusiasts, today I want to go in depth with my Spectral shield throw Chieftain and let you know how to build yourself a similar character. With the release of the patch notes yesterday, I can confirm that this guy didn't get wrecked by any changes, which is great. Technically he even got buffed since they're gonna be improving the physical damage on vicious projectiles. All of that aside, it's time to talk about how to get yourself going if you feel like playing this specific build. The general concept of the build is we're gonna be playing with Spectral shield throw and we're gonna be converting all of our physical damage to fire. In order to achieve that, we're gonna be playing as a Marauder Chieftain and we're also gonna be relying on the Keystone Avatar of Fire. Due to this, we only deal fire damage and we get no benefits from gaining or converting that fire damage to any other damage types. Okay, so let's talk about the passives now. Leveling the character is not precisely difficult, but it's a messy process. Personally, I began by going towards the duelist start because I wanted point blank as soon as possible. From there, I went towards the ranger's corner of the tree and grabbed the Mana Leech and Primeval Force. From that point, I rushed towards the Templar start with the idea of chasing Elemental Overload. Once we have Elemental Overload, we go for Avatar of Fire. You should be sitting at Avatar of Fire at around level 46. By that point, I expect you to have completed the first labyrinth and gotten Namahu's Flame Advocate. After Avatar of Fire, aim to get at least one Jewel Note so we can get Divide and Conquer socketed in. From there on out, we can start grabbing less important but equally useful notes. We want Iron Grip and the Life cluster above it. Also the Lava Lash cluster near Iron Grip. Since we need accuracy and some crit chance to trigger Elemental Overload, it's a no-brainer to get the Eagle Eye cluster near the Marauder start. Iron Reflexes are not a priority, but since you won't have that much of an evasion chance, you may wanna take it relatively early. If you're struggling with elemental resistances, the Command of the Elements Will is a nice thing to take early on, and you can complement those resists with Holy Dominion by the Templar start. The rest of the notes can be taken in any order you want. Coming back to your Ascendancy, for your second labyrinth I recommend that you get Tasalio Cleansing Water. This is because we get a nifty plus 110% to fire resistance for free, some regen, and we can stop worrying about ignites with it. Your next labyrinth, the third one, should be Hinekora Death's Fury for the life leech, and the last one, Ramako Sun's Light. This is the complete skill tree. Now for the gear. Our main point of interest is the shield. We need a fat shield for fat DPS gains. A pure armor based shield like a Colossal Tower shield is the way to go. I recommend aiming for at least more than 2.5k armor on it. If you can get resists and strength on it, even better. Optimally, you also want an empty suffix so that you can craft increased global physical damage in it. Next is our weapon. Without overcomplicating it, we're gonna be using a stat stick. So the best stat sticks are obviously shaper ones. For that reason, we want a shaped mace. Any base for the mace with a 1.4 attack base is ace. Now don't look at me with that straight face. I'm sorry. Now but seriously, you want to gain percentage of physical damage as extra fire damage, increased elemental damage with attack skills, damage penetrates a certain percentage of elemental resistances, and enemies killed explode. You want this last one because you don't really want to deal with undead effects, and at the same time it makes playing the build a lot more enjoyable and satisfying. At the same time, aim for an open prefix where you can craft increased fire damage. The god roll also involves having some flat strength in the weapon as well. The body armor is our third most important piece of gear, and that is because we have big plans for it. We're gonna fossil craft this bee, and for that, you're gonna use a pristine fossil and a serrated fossil. You want the modifier socketed gems are supported by level 1 maim. This will effectively make your body armor a 7 link. Anything here is fine as long as it hits maim and plenty of life. Now for the rest of the armor, on the helmet we want life, resists, accuracy, and nearby enemies have negative fire resistance. This may be a little bit expensive, FY. Either flat accuracy or increased accuracy is fine. On the gloves we want life, resists, attack speed, and make sure the base are grip gloves for the projectile damage. On the boots we want movement, speed, life, resists, and if you can get it, strength. For the jewelry, we used one of 3 uniques in the entire build, a Mark of Submission which will house projectile weakness. On the other ring, any rare which resists elemental damage with attack skills, increased fire damage, physical damage to attacks, and life is the way to go. On the amulet, we want life, increased fire damage, elemental damage with attacks, accuracy, and if you can get it, a lot of strength. Finally, on the belt, a rustic sash with life, resists elemental damage with attacks, strength, and if you can, an open prefix to craft increased damage. For the jewels, we're gonna be using our second unique item in the build, and that is Divide and Conquer, and that one is mandatory. From there, on the other ones, I like having attack speed and life. It's up to you, and hell, you may even want resistances on the jewels to cheapen the other gear pieces. For the flasks, we use a silver flask, a sulfur flask, and the last unique, which is a wise oak. Obviously, the higher the roll on the penetration on the wise oak, the better. Okay, gear explanation aside, now we talk about the actual skills. First, Spectral Shield Throw. We want a Spectral Shield Throw in the body, supported by elemental damage with attacks, fire penetration, added fire, vicious projectiles and elemental focus. Remember, maim is in your chest intrinsically, and this makes our skill setup effectively a 7th link. For auras, we use Herald of Ash, Hatred, War Banner and Enlighten. War Banner is optional if your overall accuracy is above 95%, or if you feel like getting adrenaline for 2.5 seconds whenever you place it. Next is Ancestral Protector, and he is very important because we're gonna be linking him to Stun and Combustion. Combustion will give ignited enemies a negative 19% fire resistance. While it's not showing up on PoE, I believe it works similarly to how the Helmet mod negative fire resistance to nearby enemies works, plus the attack speed from the totem is great too. As I said before, we also want projectile weakness on the character via the Mark of Submission. For moving around, we used Shield Charge with faster attacks and Fortify. We also want Blood Rage, Enduring Cry and Lightning Golem somewhere in your gear. Also, you can use Battle Haste, I haven't tried it myself, but we all know it's definitely a DPS increase. Oh, we aren't done yet, and now it's time to talk about the enchantments. Boot enchantment is damage penetrates 10% elemental resistances if you haven't killed recently, and for the helmet, I recommend using attack speed bonus from the Ancestral Protector. But really, it's up to you if you want Spectral Shield through damage, less mana reserved, increased projectile weakness effect, etc, etc. Okay, so now that's the gear covered. Let's talk about gameplay. We cleared really fast, and it's in part due to Divide and Conquer's chain and shards on impact that we are able to delete packs really efficiently. When it comes to boss damage, it's weird because we do kill them fast, but we need some things to happen before that fast deletion happens. We need them to be covered in ash, and we need them to be ignited by the totem. If these things fall in place, bosses disappear really quickly. Like all builds in Path of Exile, the more you're willing to invest in them, the stronger they become. Do not cheap out on a character like this. Mine still had a lot of improvement room. The shield I have is pretty good, but we could have gone a little bit overboard and gotten a better one, or bind the one I have until it becomes disgustingly OP. My stat stick leaves a lot to be desired, but it can also be improved, which is what really matters. The amulet was missing some additional flat damage, and hell, if you're ballsy enough, you could corrupt the body armor at the altar in the temple and hit fat gains if you get a double corruption. Now for an important question, is this build Shaper viable? And the answer is yes, he is. Shaper isn't that difficult, to be honest. The problem stems from getting the fragments, as you may struggle a little bit with the Guardians, specifically with certain map modifiers that really improve the damage these guys deal and how much damage they're willing to take before they go down. As for the Uber Elder, you may wanna min-max everything on the character to fight him comfortably. Should you make this guy your league starter? Now, I don't really think it's possible to start a league with him because you need some very specific gear. Specifically, the main craft isn't gonna be close to possible on day 2, for example. Or maybe it is, I don't know. At the same time, getting a nice shield isn't gonna be very easy or cheap on the first few days. I'd say you wait it out and attempt this character as your second or third one in the league. With the new implicit notable enchantments on amulets, there's even gonna be more possibilities to build this guy or improve around him. I may reprise him in a later point in the league, as I found the playstyle to be extremely enjoyable. So yeah, that's it. I'm pretty satisfied where I ended with this man. I looked around PoE Ninja and saw people playing with Spectral Shield Throw, and none of them were similar to what I was doing with my build, which made me feel even more confident about the hidden potential I had come across. Nah, I'm kidding. But seriously, I'm proud of him. Hopefully you do give him a spin, and if you do, let me know about your achievements with the build. So that's it for me today. We may talk about league starters tomorrow. I'm not 100% sure right now, probably not. Don't really hold me accountable for that statement. But yeah, If you enjoyed the video, subscribe, rate, comment, follow me on Twitter and on Twitch, and be sure to tune in next time when I fulfill my true calling as an essential oil salesman. Bye!